Matthew chapter 14. And then I go to verse 22. And of course, this is the topic where Jesus walks on water. Have you ever tried to do that? Have you ever tried to walk on water? Many times when I was little, or when I'd be swimming, I'd love to put my hand on the water. It felt so neat that, because I'd always see over in Pat Mays Lake, those little bitty black bugs, they would just be swimming. So I'd put my hand there. But just imagine walking on water. But Matthew chapter 14, verse 22. In a straightway, Jesus constrained his disciples to get into a ship and to go before him unto the other side while he sent the multitudes away. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up into a mountain apart to pray. And when the evening was come, he was there alone. Verse 24, but the ship was now in the midst of the sea, tossed with waves, for the wind was contrary. And in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went unto them, walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, it is a spirit. And they cried out of fear. Could you understand that? Could you understand if you saw this figure walking on this water? Would you be scared? Would you be afraid? I'll tell you what, I'd either jump out and start swimming the other way, or I would demand the boat to go the other way. I would. Verse 27, but straightway Jesus spake unto them, saying, be of good cheer, it is I. Be not afraid. And Peter answered him and said, Lord, if it be thou, bid me come unto thee on the water. Now, can you imagine? If it's you, Lord, could you be in Peter's spot? If it's you, Lord, call out to me for me to come. Now, has there been times in your life that you said, well, Lord, if it's so, you gonna call me out there, or do it? And I'll let me tell you something. Be careful what you ask for. Mm-hmm. Be careful what you ask for when it comes with Jesus. Mm-hmm. Okay? Because in verse 29, and he said, come. And when Peter was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and the beginning to sink. He cried, saying, Lord, save me. Verse 31, and immediately Jesus stretched forth his hand and caught him, and said unto him, O thou of little faith, wherefore didst thou doubt? And verse 32, and when they were come into the ship, the wind ceased. And 33. Then they were in the ship, came and worshipped him, saying, O, a truth, thou art the Son of God. Mm-hmm. Have you ever asked Jesus a question like that? Oh, if it's true, I'll do it. But yet something happens, and then it's your time to do it. Mm-hmm. How scared can you get? Now, I don't blame Peter, but yet be careful what you ask for. Right. Be careful what you ask for. Many of times I've told people the story about here. And you say, well, why do you keep on telling this story? One is so I don't ever forget. Have you ever told a story and then you forgot? Or you haven't told the story in 2 or 3 or 4 months or a year or 5, and then all of a sudden you try to remember what it is? And it is when it was when the Lord called me here. I said, Lord, I'll just put my hat in the ring and see what happens. Maybe, I'll become a pastor. Maybe you want me here. But I'll tell you what, I'll put my name in the ring. Guess what? Then it was my turn to act. upon that. The same as Peter. Have you ever been in that situation? Have you ever called Jesus out on something and said, if it's meant to be, then sure. But you got to do it first, Jesus. And then all of a sudden, when Jesus allowed it to happen, somehow, some way, and you lose focus on Jesus, whatever the task that's ahead of you. Maybe it's to talking to somebody. Maybe it's to witness to somebody. Maybe it's to handle a situation that you've never done before. But when you lose sight of Jesus, guess what? You'll be in verse 30. When all of a sudden he was afraid and began to sink. We'll do that in our spiritual life. When we lose focus on Jesus, guess what? Don't be afraid when things around you are falling. And you say, well, I'm a good person and I do things right, but all of a sudden bad things are happening. Well, also, Jesus said life would not be easy, right? It won't be easy for each and every one that claims to be Christian, born again Christian. But when we lose sight of him, don't be surprised when things are falling. But guess what? All of a sudden, Peter starts crying and saying, Lord, save me. Lord, the situation I'm dealing with at work, at home, maybe traveling, a relationship, it's not right, or it feels like it's falling apart, or I don't know what I've done. But please, help me. Please save me. You know what? He will, because at 7:34, immediately Jesus didn't wait till he sank down all the way in the water, completely covered. It said immediately Jesus stretched out his hand. When we call on Jesus, he does that for each and every one. Just like the footprints in the sand. When something's going on and you're thinking you're all alone. And then you can look back. Wow. Jesus was there all alone. Now, what got me was whenever Jesus was asking a question to Peter. Oh, thou little faith. Why do you have little faith? Why do you doubt me? You've been with me all this time. And yet, you called me. You said, if it's you, come out on here. And yet Jesus did. Call Peter. And then all of a sudden, Peter had the faith to get on the water. And he was fine until, guess what? He realized what the problem was and he took his eyes away from Jesus. And all of a sudden, was that Jesus doing? No. That was Peter's doing.
Right.
Peter took his eyes off and so he started sinking. And then Jesus asked that question, why little faith? Has he asked that question to you? Why do you doubt me? Why do you say things I can't do? Why do you have little faith in me? You ask help for a problem, a situation, or to tackle something, but yet you doubt me? You have little faith? And all of a sudden, in 32, they were in the boat together and the wind ceased. Can you picture that safety? And then 33, and then that they were in the ship, came and worshiped him, saying, oh, you are truth. Thou art the Son of Man. See, we have to be careful with our human nature. Because we like to say things, oh, God, if you call me to do that, I'll do it. I'll do it. And all of a sudden, when Jesus says, okay, I'm going to call you to do something. Oh, well, okay, I'll do it for a little bit. And all of a sudden, maybe the world's saying, you don't need to do that. You don't need to go talk to that person. You don't need to watch your language. You can wear that. It's fine. That's what the world was wearing. It's okay. But yet, you don't need to teach your kids that way. No, no. The world is doing this now, so you need to teach your kids. No. No. Make sure we are standing firm with God's word, whatever it says. And y'all hear me say that, because now more than ever, when the world or the devil's trying to shake you, trying to break you, trying to bend you, even some of organizations that we think, okay, they're going to be strong. Maybe we'll allow this in our association. Let's all vote. Maybe, see, the world's going this way, so we can get off the path. No. When God says something, He means it.
Amen.
Continue to have your eyes upon Him no matter what. Because we see the results when we don't. We sink, we fall. But yet, when we keep our eyes on Him, man, we can get through anything. Especially when there's more Christians together, brothers and sisters. And we worship Him and we stand on the truth. Because guess what? Jesus died for each and every one of us. And He's alive and well.
Amen.
And He has called us to go out and preach. I'm not a preacher. It's okay. Because we're all called to do that.
Amen.
Amen. Let's pray.